All right, so where we left off last time was, I actually can't remember, but I do remember what I did off stream. So let me show you on GitHub what I did, or like what the big things is that I merged. So we implemented vg join command, the vg leave command, and a queue. So if I boot up the app, let me see, yarn workspace, viewer games, Twitch bot, start. Then it's gonna start the app. Put on a blue filter. Maybe I should do that, yeah. Wait, do you guys see this if I turn this on? Probably, right? Oh, this is the wrong one. Wait, where's the blue light filter? What? It's supposed to be here. Anyways, that's weird. Okay, so now if anybody uses the vg join command, let me use it in the chat. The chat open here, vg join. It says, wow, you've joined the queue, awesome. That's great. So if you guys remember, I made this Twitch bot as part of like to make it easier to join the chat, or like to join the to join like a viewer game, which is like an Elixir app that is going to be talking to one another. But what I realized is that I haven't really validated, or I haven't really seen what people use this for. So what I thought about instead is, instead of like trying to actually build this entire thing without any knowledge of how people are actually wanting to use this, and I've just watched the streamers that I know, and they're all doing the same thing, but there's other people that are doing viewer games way differently. So I was like, maybe I'm rushing out things too much and trying to do things properly the first time around, instead of just getting an understanding of the domain, you know, like getting an actual understanding of like, what do I need to build? What are people looking for? So what I did instead is, instead of the way this is architectured, and I'm going to walk through it in a little bit, is that it's structured in such a way that I can easily swap out the viewer game engine, so to speak, with like talking to the API. And so let me show you what I did. So if you guys remember, the Twitch bot is just a bunch of factories. And I know this is not the best way to do it, but it works. And it allows us to use a Twitch client, but maybe in the future we could also have a YouTube client, you know, like for YouTube streamers. But for now, basically the core of the chatbot is just listening to a bunch of commands and then responding to them. And so we have a command here, and we have a queue domain. And so the queue domain has a bunch of repositories. And one of these repositories is the queue repository. So we here have a queue repository interface that we can implement in certain things. So if you don't know what an interface is basically just something that describes something. It's just like a like something like if you want to know what a queue repository looks like, this is what it looks like, you know. So like a queue, you can join a queue, and you pass in the streamer, and you pass in your username for the person that wants to join. You can leave the queue. You can get the position of where this user is in the queue. You can get the players that are in the queue, and you can get the player count. And the nice thing about this is that we can design our software in such a way that we could have two implementations of this queue repository. So you could say like, okay, I have a queue repository that does stuff in memory. You know, like that's just like managing the queue within the application itself. But we might also have a queue repository that is, you know, managing the queue via the API. So like it's using the Elixir app that we've built, or something else. We might in the future move this to something else, like maybe to Redis, or we might like, I don't know, just have something different. But the nice thing is I can swap out these implementations for something different. As long as they just adhere to this contract that we've defined here. And so, so what I can do now is like, instead of implementing an interface, like a queue repository that talks to my API, I can for now just create a memory queue repository. So that's what I did. So we're just basically defining here, let me just hide this one, a memory queue repository that implements this interface. So it needs all the methods described here in order to comply with this. And so what this thing does, it just like creates a queue per streamer. So we have this streamer queue here, which you can also join, but this is like a queue for one streamer at a time. So this only manages the players for that streamer. So you can join this, you can get the position, you can get the players, and you can leave the queue. And then this memory repository is just keeping track of the streamer and their queue. And then if I close out the application, the whole thing gets wiped. So I'm not saving this anywhere. But maybe in the future, I will just implement a queue repository like that saves to file, you know, that saves it to disk. Who knows? All right, later, Hugo. What's up, Whitestack? So for now, this is great because now I can just play around, but I'm also future-proof. You know, like if I play around and I just release this into the wild and I just start an alpha with a couple streamers, you know, like I just put up the queue, or I put up the bot, and as soon as the streamer starts streaming, they can like start this queue and then they're good to go. And then after a day, I just wipe the thing. Or I just close the app, you know? Because in an alpha, nobody really cares about like long-term or like how this works. And during that time, I can see like how people interact with it and if it works. So what we've built right now is just a queue implementation using memory, but in the future, we could talk to the API, we could do other things just to make sure. We've also... we also have the command router, which we've already had, but I've changed it a slight bit. So now every command is actually a class that is not, it's not a singleton anymore. So every class has its own instance and its own repository that it needs. So a join command now needs a queue repository, right? So this is the most important part. It doesn't rely on the memory queue repository. It doesn't need the API queue repository or the file queue repository. It just needs a repository interface. So something that looks like this, that just implements this. And then it just uses that to join the queue. So missing return type, yeah, whatever. I don't really care. So this run command, it also implements the command interface. So this join command just wait, why does it not find it? Oh, because I didn't make an extra file for it. So the command interface basically says that you need a prefix, you need a test, and a run command. So that's what we implemented. We have a test, we have a prefix. You don't really need this prefix. I don't think you really need it, but maybe you do. I don't know if I use it anywhere. And then you need to implement a run. So like now I'm just checking if the user has no username, which is kind of weird. We then use the queue repository to join the queue, and then get the position details, and then tell him the display name has joined the queue with the position details. And the position details are basically just like 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 or whatever. The nice thing is these commands are now very easily unit testable because they don't depend on the memory queue repository. They only depend on a queue repository interface. So in my tests, I can just make a fake one or see, like here, I just made like a fake one that only like uses these methods. And this is like a little bit of code smell here because I'm not using great type safety here. So I'm looking for a way to like properly mock this out. But what I've found so far is that TypeScript doesn't really, there's not really that many libraries that really easily mock out straight up interfaces. So this will do for now, but this doesn't give me the type safety that I need. For now it works though. So now I'm basically saying for my test, if you call run, it should call the queue repository correctly because that's all we're testing. And that it has called it with the channel and the user, and that it says this in the chat. That's basically all we're testing for. So the nice thing is that I don't need to wait for any requests. If I do change this command to use the API, I don't need to wait for the API calls to pass. I'm just relying on the queue repository interface. And then if I test the API call, like implementation directly, it should just work. You know, it should just work. It should. It's still unit, you know, it's still unit tests. So this will give me most of the confidence. See, like I can check like what it says in the chat for every single one of these. I've also implemented the leave command the same way, just uses the queue repository. It just leaves and then says something. There's a lot of duplicate code here that I want to look at, but I don't really care about it for now. Did you mock the interface with Jasmine? So I'm using Jest for testing, and Jest also allows for like mocking of some sorts. Wait, why is this not used? Oh no. This is in master, so I don't even know how I merged this without even having a linter run over it. Or TypeScript. Interesting. This one is also like, no return type. I don't even know how this slipped through. But anyways, it works. So I'm not using Jasmine. Jest is using Jasmine under the hood. So maybe if there is something for Jasmine to mock interfaces, but I don't think so because interfaces are not built into the language. It's like a TypeScript thing. But maybe there is something that can do it. But yeah, the tests for all of these are pretty much the same thing. I'm just using this ugly TypeScript hack to just inject a repo in there. That is not the same. So I'm doing manual dependency injection. I'm doing manual dependency injection here because I was like, this app is not going to grow very big. So it doesn't really, I don't think I want to add the complexity of just having some sort of like dependency injection container that knows what to map to what and stuff like that. So I just have a factory and it has a bunch of static methods to build a command. And then it just injects the memory repository singleton, which is just, you know, define it once in the file, and that's it. Easy. It just works, you know? You can make it more complicated, you can make it more feature-proof, you can, you know, you can have a whole container for dependency injection, all that jazz, all nice. But sometimes you don't need that, you know? Like, if it's as simple as this, a bunch of commands that needs to run, then this is good enough. You know, we're not gonna inject that many like dependencies in here. Not gonna be that crazy. And then there's this like method here that's just easy, so that used in a router. So when you create a new router, we just use the commands from the command factory. But you can also just create one by yourself with your own commands. Okay, so now that's done. I think we're missing some of the core features still. In order to make this fully work. So what we'll need is we'll need some sort of way for a streamer to start a game or to pick people from the queue. So there should be a command, and I think I can call it the pick command, which will be only accessible by mods for now. that will just pick a handful of like a handful of people from the queue, and the streamer can define how many. And then, let me think. Once the streamer does that, we'll just pop those people from the queue. That's it. So there's not much like, there's no differentiation between subscribers yet, because like this is a very simple queue implementation, right? And maybe in the future, like if I have time this stream, but there's not a lot of time left because I'm slow as hell in explaining all this. Maybe in the future, I might change the implementation that we have on the Elixir side too, because my initial design was to use the database for this queue. But then I realized, like, wait a minute. I don't really need the queue to live a very long time. You know, like if you're streaming and you're starting a viewer game, you just do that viewer game for one stream. And unless you're Ludwig and you're streaming for an entire month, most of us streamers are doing a maximum like length of a stream of like 72 hours. And you know, we can, for now, we can keep the queue in memory for those streamers. But like most streamers will just, you know, stream for a couple hours. And so depending on like what comes out of the alpha or the beta that we use, that we're going to run, depending on like what we need from there, we'll just see like what, like we can like run this in memory for now, and we can use like Elixir gen servers for this very, very well, to see if we can get this rolling. But I'll explain to that in a little bit. Let's just start with this pig command so that we have the full suite of the Twitch bot running. But one more thing that I want to mention is the fact that if you rush your database and you move data in there that you don't really need for now, right? For your first MVP. Unless you do, then just you know, just put it in a database. The nice thing is if you pick a flexible way of storing the data, you can just see what you need and be more flexible about it. You know, like if I just store the queue in memory while I'm running my alpha, while I'm running my beta, then at least I will understand how the people will start using this app. You know, like I have no idea how they're going to use it. Maybe they're going to be running this for days. Maybe they want to run statistics on the data of like which queues they've joined. Maybe they want to receive notifications of the queues that they joined, and then maybe I need to store that data somewhere. But for now, we just need to see. We just need to see what kind of stuff that we're going to be running into. And so if we need to do a lot of if the streamer, let's say, wants to do a lot of like manual changing of the queue, like let's say there's a bunch of people that joined the queue but they want to prioritize subs or something like that, doing that in a database can be a lot of work and a lot of thinking work. But maybe they don't want that, so like why would you waste that energy? So for now we're just gonna be running probably this on the Twitch bot side, see how it behaves, see if it's good, see if we get an understanding of how the people use it, then move it to the Elixir app, implement it there so that we can, you know, show that on the UI as well, and then start seeing how people use it. You know, start seeing how people use it. What's up, Chicago? How's it going? You're explaining it really well, though. Thank you, really appreciate that. What's up, WestJet? Okay, so let's start implementing. So creating a new command is fairly easy. But as I started implementing more and more methods, I started to realize that there's a lot of duplicate code. For now, I'll leave the duplicated code though, because as more you implement, the more you realize like what is actually duplicated code.
WTF is going on?
Thank you for the 10 bits. The more the more commands you make, the more you see the patterns of like re-implementing code, and then we might need to abstract this away to make it even cleaner to implement. Because for example, I hate this. The reason that this username is like string or null is just because the TMI client that I use, or like the Twitch client that I use here, the user state basically it says that the user may or may not be there. And I'm like, how is that even possible? How can a user say something in chat and not have a username? But yeah, we need to see. Maybe it's when bots say something, or when Twitch says something to you or something, or when, I don't know. It's I just don't fully understand like why that would be like optional, but yeah, that's just what we're dealing with. So I can pretty much copy paste one of these and just call it a pick command. The prefix here is just like, what is it gonna be, what is it gonna be called? So the prefix that it's gonna be testing for is just like, does it contain VG pick? And then there's a bunch of things that needs to happen. So what we need to do is this command can only be run by moderators. But for now, for Twitch chat's sake, I think everybody should be able to do it because it's more fun. Like it's more fun for developing this. So what we need to do is we need to take some people out of the queue. And I don't think that is in the repository just yet. We just have a way to read the people that are in the queue by a certain start and end position. So I can easily say, give me this 1 to 10 players in the queue. We have the total player count, but we don't have a way of plucking people or picking people out of the queue. So I'm not a full 100% sure what I want to call this, but maybe pluck is a good name for this. But if we look at the domain, one might say you pick people, you pick a group of players from the queue, or you like take. So we can say take 5, like the count 5 from the streamer. So we could also do that. And then because we're working with potentially asynchronous stuff, like I know that in memory it's not like synchronously, but we'll probably get a list of players that we just plucked out of the that we just taken out of the queue. And so what happens here is that if we take players out of the queue, they should be left out of this one. So we just update the queue repository. All the implementations of the other ones will break, so the implementation of our queue repository here will break, our memory implementation. So let's implement this. So I put this in after leave. So let's do that as well. Let's create a method called pick, which takes a streamer and then the count of players that we want to pick out of this. And then what we get back is a player array. An array of players. That's what we get back. But we have that here. So now it's complaining because we don't actually return the players here. But our individual queue also does not allow for picking people out of the queue. It just allows for joining and leaving and that jazz. So let's implement it here too. So pick takes a number of players. And then what we're gonna do is we still need to get these parts of players. So we can do is we first, if the current player count is obviously is 0, then we just return an empty array. But it really depends on how we're going to implement this. So let's see. Splice. What does splice do? Is that the one that like alters the array? Removes elements from array and if necessary inserts new elements in its place. Returning the deleted elements. So that's what we need actually. Splice is exactly what we need. So here we splice 1, but now we need to splice multiple. And the nice thing is it returns us exactly the amount that we needed. So let's use this. So players splice. So splice, it's important to note that splice actually changes the existing array. It doesn't create a new one. It doesn't create a copy. It's the existing array that is changed. So if we say we start from the top and we pick the count, then in theory this should work. But we will only really know if we actually use this somewhere. So let's scroll down. And then in our pick, we're gonna say, get me the queue. So find or create queue. And then we can say pick counts. So this will return me the players not assignable to the type player. Oh, wait, what? This returns a string. Wait. Oh, okay. Sure. So I have... Huh, interesting. So what I'm storing in this queue here is just the name of the players, which is the Twitch name, which also can cause some problems, but I just want to see if it causes any problems. I'm so sad I didn't get a reminder you were going online. I really want to be there in this stream. Well, I've just been live for only 40 minutes, so it's fine. Well, welcome, Lisa. Okay, so we need to map this. So here we have a list of players' names, really. And here we're getting we're transforming this into this. So let's move this into a function that we can reuse. But it's a private function. Like we don't want to have the memory queue repository allow to call this. So this is like build player. And it takes a username string and then an index, which is a number. This has been coding in too many different languages, so now I just don't know the styles anymore. But this is kind of an ugly method. So maybe we should call this position, and then we just don't reuse it like this. So now, if I wanted to, I could just do exactly what this is doing. And then if I just call this index, then what I could do is just replace this whole function and just call build player. But this method is very specific to having an index. And if you're building a player, we don't really talk about indexes. So as cleanly as this is, and I can reuse this here as well, what I don't like about it is that we're using the concept of an index while building a player, while players don't really know about indexes, they just know about positions. But if I don't do this, then the whole idea of abstracting this into a method is kind of gone. So I'm fine with keeping this for now, but I'm also thinking of I can make this position But then like, what's the benefit of just like not doing this in line, you know? Because it's not, you don't really do position +1. So now it's just like username and position. I might as well just have made this object by myself. So the only purpose that this serves is transforming an index into a position. So let's do build player by with index. So now it's very explicit that you should be just be using this for mapping, you know, like for something that has an index. Beautiful. Been able to prettify the module. I made a typo somewhere probably. Prettier cannot be loaded. Oh, interesting. I don't know why that is. Prettier cannot be loaded. Why? See the logs for range. I'm literally looking at the logs. What do you mean prettier cannot be loaded? Prettier. Wow. There we go. Nice. So now we have a pretty clean method, you know, like it reads pretty well. It's like find or create the queue, then pick a bunch of players, like find or create the queue for the streamers. So this is the queue, then pick a count and then map it to build the player with index. So now we're getting a player back that looks like a player. And so, okay, so now we've written this, so let's write a test for it. So we have all this behavior here that we're testing, because that's what this memory queue does. It's like, it's very easy to test. So memory repository should be able to join, leave, and get the position of the queue. It should reject to false when the user does not exist for the get position. It cannot join the same queue twice. You should not conflict with multiple streamers. Get player should be able to get part of the queue, and get player count should be able to represent the player count. So now let's test pick should be able to pick players from the queue. Sounds like exactly what it should do. So let's just follow what we're doing here. So what we're doing here is just testing the memory queue implementation. So what we can do is we can join a couple times. So we have user 1, user 2, you know, user 3. And then let's then pick 2. Or maybe let's do 5, because that's probably a good number, you know, like 4 and 5. So we've joined 5 times. We can speed this test up a little bit by, instead of waiting for each other, what we can do is we can do promise.all, and then pop. So now all of these will run in parallel, which is a little bit faster with the test, even though these join calls are super fast because they're running in memory. Just, we can always optimize, you know? So let's join the queue 5 times, and then we're waiting for that result to happen. So like as soon as the code executes here, we've awaited that we've joined the queue 5 times. Excellent. So what we need to do now is we need to actually test the pick command. So let's expect that our repo, so our repository, our memory queue repository, get player count. We can check the count. Yeah, let's check the count. Let's compare the counts. It needs a streamer, huh? So we have a streamer defined at the top here because they're shared across all of them. So we get the player count for the streamer, and then we expect it to be 5. So let's start with this. Let's do yarn workspace viewer game / Twitch bot. We can also run all the Jest tests, but run Jest watch. So now it's gonna run the tests. First time is a bit slower than the rest. Boom, it's broken. because it says take. Oh, I implemented pick, but it should be take. Did I? Okay, so I implemented pick. So in the end, I think pick might be the one. Because pick apparently for me seems more straightforward. Tests are slow, I don't know why. But if I hit save now, they're pretty fast, I suppose. Yeah. So what I can also do is I can say run only the... Oh no, these are all using this. Yeah, so this is just running the tests that are actually affected by the memory queue, which is nice. Okay, so all the tests are passing. So our memory queue repository tests are passing because like when I put 5 people in the queue, the player count is 5. And then if I take the man, I've just been coding in too many languages. Constant, and I say picked players, and I do await repository dot pick, and I say for the streamer I want to pick 3. Then I can say expect and repository dot get player count to be 2, because if we picked 5 for this streamer, then it should be 2. So let's start with that. Let's see if our tests pass. I don't know why it's so slow. Excellent. 4 seconds for only 23 passes. That's not too fast, but it's fine. Okay, so now we also want to assert that the picked players are having the correct format. You know, like that the position is correct, that the users are in the right order, and that we've picked the right players. You know, like the top 3. That's what we're looking for. So let's expect that as well. Let's see. Await. We don't need to await here. We can just say picked players to equal, and then we just yoink these from here. User 1, 2, 3. Copy them in. And then we expect it to look something like username, this, position, 2 and 3. And let's see if this test passes too. Beautiful. So my tests are passing. And the funny thing is that by just doing this, just like testing, I can now almost guarantee that if I implement this actual like command here and I call this method, that it will just work, which is amazing. I don't have to actually go and boot up the Twitch app. I can just look at the test and be like, if I call the memory repository, the memory queue repository with pick now, I can guarantee that the order will be correct. So let's have one more test for the test case where if the queue is already empty, that it's also returning just empty array. What font am I using? Vera Mono. It's like Vera Mono. I really like this font. It's like an open source font by Mozilla, I think. So let's say pick should be able to handle an empty queue. See how that goes. So let's do the same thing. Let's create a repository. Boom. And then let's call repository.pick for a streamer that that's there, but there's no people in it. Let's await this. Players. This is picked players. Picked players. And then I expect that picked players to have length 0. Or you could also say expect picked players to equal empty array. Whichever one works for you. Maybe empty array is, looks a bit better. Cool. Let's see if our test passes. Awesome. So even if the queue is empty or the streamer doesn't exist yet or whatever, We can still pick 5 players and there's nobody there. Okay, so now let's implement the actual command. So let's take a look at what we do in the rest of them. Let me see. Q commands. Message. Oh yeah, so we need the message. We need the message to decipher how many players we want to pick from the queue. I really want to get rid of this, but this is what it is. Okay, so let's take everything here and let's just copy it. And then we want to pick for the channel, we want to pick an amount. So let's decipher that amount from the message. And so this is where I want to start abstracting some stuff away. Or maybe put something in a command that inherits from everything. But what I need to do here is I need to take everything that comes after this pick command. And so what I can do is I can take the message. So let's rename this to raw message. No, let's just not do that. And let me think. How can we do this the nicest way possible? So what we want in the end is the amount to pick. Amount of players to pick. Be very explicit. I don't even know why. You can also do the count, but maybe that's not good enough. So we have a message, and I can do it very dirty because all I want to do is I just want to have my test pass. I just want to have my test pass. I don't have any tests yet, but in my head, I'm like, I want to do the most minimal and dirtiest thing to get this thing to work. Whether it's in tests or whether it's like in the chat directly, whichever one it is. Let's just get it working. So what I could do is I could strip off this part and the space. So string replace search value this dot prefix with a space, very dirty and nasty way, and then I replace it with empty string, and now I just get a bunch of words, right? Words that come after this. And so if somebody starts doing gibberish after, we don't want to, we don't want that. So either we fall back to a safe number, which is also something we could do. We could just say like, okay, if nobody, or we just do nothing. We can also do that. So if, let's think. So this could be a bunch of things. This could be like the actual number in a string form. So we need to convert it to a number anyways. So let's just move this to a private method for now. Convert message or take parse count from message. So it takes a message string and then it just converts. It does all this nasty work here. So now what we've got is we've got the remainder here. And we know for a fact that somebody has written the prefix. But I wonder if this is going to work with this space, because like, let's say it cannot replace partially. So like, this is the safer one. So like replace, can it also replace value? Yeah. So this is the ugly one. This is the remaining message, or message without prefix. Like very explicitly for now, because we just want to do it kind of dirty. Like that's just what we want. And then we just parse the message. And then we get the count. And we just say that this always returns a number. Or... no. Double fee. Okay, so now we have the message without prefix. So now what we can do is we could, in theory, take the words from the message without prefix by splitting it with a space bar. The problem is that, oh, we can trim it. Trim. Yeah, so we can trim it at least, which is nice. Okay, so now we get whatever is after, whatever comes after my prefix, and then we want to take every word, and then what we want is just the first word, really. First word. So this is a nice syntax that is like fairly new in JavaScript, where you can say like, if you have an array, if this returns an array, which it does, you can just like add stuff here. This is like the first, the second, the third, etc. You can even do this, which is like the rest.
Well, when life gives
pretty
you
nice. Yeah. Pretty nice. Pretty good syntax. So Devin,
I like programming streams.
thank you so much for the 23 centuries. 23 centuries in a row. Appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. How's life? So we take the first word. The first word, I guess. The thing is, it's kind of hard because it might not be a word. It might be a number. But, you know, let's just call it first word. And then if the first word, if we convert this to a number, count maybe number first word, and then if number that is nan count maybe, then return null. And then otherwise return count maybe, which is not a maybe anymore. This is the it's not nasty, but it's also super over-engineered, but it's safe, you know? So now what we could say is if the amount of players to pick is null, then we would just want to bail out, you know? Like, we just want to just do nothing. Promise. That result. We don't care. This is all good. Do not care at all. I also don't fail. The person just did something weird. That's okay. But for now, maybe we should just like say something in the chat. So let's say client. So wait, client say channel user display name dipshit, this guy has typed something weird. Sick. Awesome. So now we got that covered. So now we know that this is an actual amount to pick, or the amount of players to pick is 0. Not a big fan of like the way this if statement works, but let's just, you know, let's just roll with it. Okay, so now we've got this. So this is gonna pick some players, and then it's gonna pick the players. So we got the players back. Picked players equals this. If there's an error, Sure, we can resolve. If there is... I think I can just do this, no? So we get to pick players. If this is working and all is good, then we're going to say to the channel, what are we gonna say? The next players are picked players dot map. Yeah. Username. I just want to get their username out. And then join with a comma. What's the problem here? Oh. Wait, what do you mean? Big players should be defined. This is block scoped. But... what? I thought this would still work. Because, like, there's a return here. But this is just JavaScript complaining. Very ugly, though. Is this really how we do this? Otherwise, I can move this inside here, but... like, let's say client said, you know, like, does something. I don't want to catch that error. So let's just say here, could not pick amount of players to pick players out of the queue. Try again later. Okay, so now we got that working. We've got that implemented. Let's test it. Oh, my test failed. Oh, it's because Pig doesn't have any tests. Okay, so let's... everybody just type join the queue. Oh, something went wrong. What's wrong? Run in a type pick command is not assignable. Oh, I also didn't register it yet, actually. Not assignable to the same property in the type message. Promise void. Promise string. Oh yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I didn't return here. TypeScript, what do I gotta do with you? Boom. Okay, so that's still not gonna work. So I booted it up. It's nice. It's compiling. All good. All good. But I need to add it here. So let's build, and let's also add it to here. So this is under above queue. So let's just follow that. Pick. Pick command. Done. Factory. Pick commands. Pick command. Excellent. And then let's also register it here in our config or get commands. Excellent. So now our Twitch bot should know about the command pick. Let's try it. So VG join. We join the queue. Excellent. So if we have some other people join the queue, then we can see. So we can do VG players, I think, or queue. You can see that, you know, I am player, you know, player 1, first in the queue. Sweet. We also, I don't think we have anything like, yeah, we don't have like show or something. Or position. All right, Devin joined. Excellent. So now let's do VG pick 1. Next players are just cats. And then if I do VG queue again, it will show you that only Devin is in the queue. So this is excellent. This is now, we've got this flow easily working. Now all we need to do is write some tests and then we're good to go. So this test for the pick command is something we can just almost copy pasta from the leave command, which is excellent. So we just replace everything in here with pick, and then anything pick command, we just uppercase that again. Excellent. So that's great. Boom, 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 boom. User this. Cool. Okay. I don't know. When in queue, should pick the queue. Oh, this should be leave. Right. Okay. Let's write these tests because they're a little bit differently. Okay, so let's write them. When... Let's think. So when... there are 5 players in the queue. Oh no, when calling pick with 5 players, do I do it or do I do test? What do I do? Test. Test. Should what should it do? It should call the repository with pick, and then should say successfully should call the repository repo correctly and say a message in chat. Should leave the queue, should not do anything when not in the queue. Excellent. Copy pasta this. Let's create a client. Let's do pick. What else do we do? We don't really do anything, right? All we care about is that we're calling pick. We check the username, we get the message. Oh yeah, we need to test the message. Describe. When the message contains random characters. Okay. This is even before the repository, like we don't even care. Or do we? Well, we need a repository. By default it's the memory one, so await build and then run client channel the message vg pick hello world, what the fuck is this? Excellent. And then the last one is the user. Okay, so now we expect, what do we expect? We expect this message to be shown, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to keep that. Expect client helpers get last said message client to be null. What does it return? The last null. Okay, so there's no messages sent if we call this. That's the idea. Okay, let's see if this works. Describe in promise is not. Oh, oops. When it contains random characters, it should. Wait. Test should not do anything. I'm like doing this wrong. Describe should be just normal, and then the test or the it block should be. Okay. Try that again. Bob Ross typed something weird. Yeah, okay. So right now it fails because we are saying something, but the whole idea was to not do that. And then pick is failing for the other one. Yeah, which makes sense because I didn't really finish this one. Let's skip this. When the message contains 0. We do nothing. Excellent. Easy peasy. So it's 2 cases done. And then we have the case where there is, when calling pick, when there are 5 players in the queue and picking 3. It's called a repo correctly and say message in chat with the picked player names. So we pick, and then we say it returns us username, user 1, position 1. Because this is the contract that we have with this repository interface. Like it literally tells us that the player, this returns us player array. So like as long as we're compliant to that, we're good to go. Jest. Hell yeah. Why do you result the promise when the command is called incorrectly? It's because I don't really want to do anything with it. I don't really care if users fuck it up. I will just not say anything in chat. Because when I reject it, I will most likely like log it somewhere. But like in this case, this is like super unimportant stuff. So in theory, I could reject it and then just like skip the logs, which would theoretically be the correct thing to do. But in this case, like for these commands, the promise reject is when something really goes wrong that we don't understand. Here too, I was like, could not be picked from the queue. Try again later. Resolved. Okay, so let's remove this inline snapshot. So we have a message here, and we're doing VG pick. Should we do this a little bit better? VG pick, and I said 3, right? So we pick 3. And then it should say pick should have been called with 3. Oh, and we can test here if we want to. No. Let's do this. See what it writes as a message. Message, the next players are user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5. So that's wrong. So when I pass in 3, it still took out 5. Oh. No, wait, I returned 5. Because the repository is giving me 5 back, so... What are we testing here? We're testing that we're passing the repository with 3 and that we're using the data from the repository back. So yeah, okay. I was almost like, wait, are we testing our box? But no, this is correct. And now it says this is wrong, and then we say you, and then update the snapshot, and now we're good to go. Cool, excellent. So now we've tested in this test that we're correctly parsing the player data, and we're only taking out the username, and we're displaying that correctly here. So when it comes back from the repository with the right data, we can do that. And we're also testing that if we pass 3 as a message, that we parse that correctly and we pass in 3 here. So let's like create a new branch for this and say like add pick command. Excellent. So that's what we've done pretty much in one commit. We can do it in multiple commits if we want. We can say like update the queue repository interface, add pick method to the memory or like to the queue repository. Hey Lavra, how's it going? Happy birthday. How's life, girl? Sorry, I completely missed your message there. Cool. And then we also have the actual command. So this is add the pick command, vg pick command to the bot. Okay, now that we have our test coverage up, now it's really easy to start refactoring some of this. Because we were not super happy with the way this was done. This is not the most pretty way. It works, but maybe there's a more elegant way to do this. Because I'm not really a big fan of this and this. Ba-dum. Could not pick X players out of the queue. Try again later. We didn't test this one actually. Let's test this one as well. I just realized. Describe when the queue the queue fails. What should it do? Should send a message. Send a message in chat. Excellent. Copy pasta our test. That is as easy as that. And then instead of resolving here, we're just gonna say reject with a new error. Oopsie whoopsie. So now when we call pick, it says oopsie whoopsie, and then we already tested that, so we don't really care about that. We also don't really care about this, do we? We do. And then the last message should not be this. Let's just close this one out. Good error. Hell yeah. Just in a test. Doesn't really matter. Okay, what's the message? Could not pick 3 players out of the queue. Try again later. Excellent. So we got that covered now as well. Add test for failing queue repository. So I think we've got like I'm pretty sure everything covered except for this case, because fuck this case. I really want to do this before, but I don't know what to do with it yet. What does this need to run? Return? In terms from the command queue, void. Okay. Okay, so now we got that fixed. So how can we make this a bit more pretty? So if our input is something like vg join or vg pick 5, maybe pick is going to be super confusing for streamers too, by the way. It's like nice for me because I can pick people. But like maybe for them it's like start game or something, or like start. Here game start, and it picks amount of people. But it could also be that they're going to be passing nothing. And it could also be... I actually haven't tested that yet. When the message is empty. No idea what will happen, actually. Test should do nothing. Just like the other test. I don't think it really should do anything. Oops. Okay, that works too. Nice. Excellent. Because that's covered with this and this. This will just be empty string then. Okay. What we could also do is instead of replace, we could split here already, but then we can split it again. This would be the same thing, pretty much. I would be like, you could split on the prefix, and then you get empty string, and then the rest. That's also not nice. Can anybody else think of a nicer way to write this? Actually, the funny thing is, chat, if you guys start writing something random, like how else can you do this? Like you can probably define something like 0x00001 or something. If you type this in chat, it will actually pick that too. So if somebody writes like VG pick this will pick a bunch of people out of the queue. Because this will return like 16. But we don't really care about that. I'm struggling to come up with a nicer way. I'm not a big fan of like the null returning null. Do all commands start with VG? Yes. But I wasn't sure yet. That's why I like didn't add this here as a prefix. As like every command has this as a prefix too. But I wasn't sure whether it was gonna stay like that, so that's why I kept it flexible for now. I never know when to like take shortcuts and when to keep it flexible. It's a good refactor for later. It's nice and extensible though. Like the way we set this up is nice and extensible. Cool. Yeah, let's just keep it as is. Fix lint error. And then add test case for empty message. Cool. Sick. Sweet. In this entire stream, we've just only made one command. Yeah. added the VG pick number count demands to pick players for the next game. Bum, bum. VG? The VG is Vera Games. Yes. So, yeah. That's all going to be part of the alpha, I guess. You know? Because it's going to be a lot of figuring out if it makes sense. Like, I can tell people how this works. But, like, what I really want like to see is I'll just give them the bot. And then just play around with it, you know? What other commands do you want to add? So there's a couple problems that I've foreseen. Is like, in one way, I want when they join the viewer game, I want them to join in the Elixir app that I've built, so the API, and I want to create a user there for them. But I think privacy-wise, that is not really a nice thing. Like, nobody agreed that if you use the VG join command, like the viewer game join command, that you will then have an account created somewhere for your Twitch, you know? So and like, for me, privacy is pretty important. You know, like, I live in the EU, we care about privacy, actually. We don't live in America, where that, you know, privacy is just an afterthought. So I want my users to actually know that if they use the command, that there's an account created for them, or not, and then they might just only use the, you know, maybe a guest account or something. They're just joining with a name that they gave me. But I don't know. I don't know how people can make a Twitch chatbot and also have them agree to terms of service. But with regards to the question that you asked, I don't know why I just started talking about that. But what other commands do I want to add? It's a good question. I'm thinking about help, so that it explains the commands. I want to maybe just like VG admin that just links to the website admin panel. So we need to like, I will know that at some point people want to start actually managing this. Oh, actually, we need to add moderator check here, because now everybody can do a pick. So like, let's all just join the viewer game queue. Just wipe it out. So if everybody just does viewer game join, so VG join, and everybody just joins. And we pick a bunch. Everybody can just pick. It's not what we want. We want only moderators to pick. So that, I think these are settings that streamers would like to set up. You know, like, maybe big streamers don't want all of their moderators to pick people out of the queue. Maybe they only want the streamer to do that. I don't know. So like, if you guys use exclamation mark VG pick, and you just pick 1 or 2, and you will pick 2 people out of the queue, or you pick everybody. Then yeah. So now the queue is empty. There's no players in the queue because everybody joined the game. Nice. That's great. Look at that. Excellent. Yeah, so there's a bit of a privacy thing there. What I'm also looking at is to not use any American hosting providers, because I just want to see if I can actually build something without touching any American hosting providers, so that my data does not go to the US. I'm actually very curious if I can actually get that working, because there's so many services that are hosted in America, or the company is from America. So I just want to see if I can just like keep this a EU hosted thing and still keep it fast, and not, you know, have a reasonable amount of pay for that, and see if I can keep it up because hosting is not free. But as far as I've seen, there's not that many big cloud providers that are from the EU. I would love to see that change. I'm gonna call it a day though. As for other commands that are coming, except for test probably, and or like up or like help, don't foresee any more. Oh, we need show. We need show, like, or position. Yeah, we need position and show still. But let's first just implement the moderator part before I leave. So a user has an isModerator check. So this is our interface, our user state interface. And so if we just do user.isMod, is that a field? Yes. If the user's not a mod, then let's just say in the chat that only moderators can create something. Only moderators can pick players out of the queue. This is a very technical message. Raise your hand if you're not technical. If you're a streamer and I talk about a queue, will people understand what a queue is? A queue is not only a technical term. I mean, it has a meaning, you know? It has like a normal meaning. Okay. Okay, let's add that to our tests. The Lavra is not. If I'm talking about a queue, a VR game queue, will people understand what that means? Describe is mod true. Describe when the user is not a mod. Should, like a queue of people waiting? Yes. Would that make sense? Would you use a different term for that? Should send a message in the chat explaining it. Very interesting. User. Oh, we can just create a new user, it's fine. But modded user or unmodded user false. And then it should say to match inline snapshots. And see what the message is. That makes perfect sense. Happy to hear that. Only moderators can pick players out of the queue. Cool. Okay, so let's. We don't even. The thing is, I've already tested this in my test now, and all the tests are passing. So in theory, I don't even need to restart the bot and try, because I already know it's gonna work. So now if you're not a moderator, if you do VG pick, fuck, it doesn't work. No, wait, I'm a streamer. I don't count as a moderator? Shit. What the fuck? Come on. Okay, so now we've got a bug on our hands. Okay, can somebody else try it? So if Wolfie tries it, if Wolfie's still here, Wolfie's a mod. So if Wolfie tries it, it should work. And then if Laver tries it, it shouldn't work. But we got a bug deeper in. Wolfie, can you do exclamation mark VG pick 5? Or pick whatever, pick anything. So for Laver, it doesn't work. But for Wolfie, it should say a different message. Yeah. Which is also bad. Because if there's no players in the queue, it should say that too. So that's also a bug. Excellent. Edge cases, ladies and gentlemen. So when the queue is empty, we didn't cover that one. Describe when the queue is empty. That's a new test. And then we also have the case of when it's the broadcaster. When the user is the broadcaster. Because apparently that's a different role that we're not using. It or should just work. Should work normally. Okay, we have that test and we have when the queue is empty. It should say a message that the queue is empty. Bum 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 ba-dum bum. Okay, let's implement. So user apparently does not have is broadcaster. Excellent. So now we need to implement all of that. Great. Twitch clients. Common user state. Subscriber question mark. Mod question mark. So how do I know if it's the fucking what? Oh, here. User type. Mods. Admin. No, what? How do I know if I'm the owner of the channel? What? Can you even check for turbo? I thought like I would categorize myself as a, you know, as a mod. Parameter string any. What the fuck? Yeah, no wonder I didn't implement this because I have no idea where it is. Badges. Broadcaster. Do I really have to look at the badge? Are you serious? That wouldn't make any sense. Would it? Well, I mean, I could look at the channel and then look at the message, and if it's coming from the channel, then it's the moderator. You know, if that's what we want. But I can also just console log real quick what we're getting back from the user state. And in the meantime, if user is mod or the user is not the broadcaster, we need to change this because this is missing the broadcaster check. So let's just add the broadcaster. Is broadcaster is when, oh god, we don't check for the user. Oh, the username, yeah. But we're not checking here which channel this is from. Channel. And then the user. We have the user and the channel. So user state with the channel. Channel string. And so if the oh boy. No boy. If the channel equals to user state if the two lowercase is equal to user state dot username, which is, you know, user state dot username dot to lowercase. Otherwise, this is so ugly, right? But the nice thing is this is hidden away, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, that works. Sick. What the fuck? Why is it not a thing? I can check by badge, I guess. Wait, these badges is an interface. What? So wait, the user state, hold up, I can just check that. That's fine. Okay, let's remove this. Just use the user state, should be good enough. Okay. And then user state dot badge. And then this could be undefined. Are you serious? User state dot badges. It matters when they change the way of channel naming. No, because that's the username is always the same. The display name is different. Batches.broadcaster. This is also an optional. What do you mean? Boolean. Or I can just do this. Boolean. Sick. Oh wait, I'm not using Boolean. I'm apparently using double exclamation marks. Okay. Cool. Broadcaster. If there's no badges, then it's always false. I think I sometimes send a message and then I don't see a badge. So I don't know if that sometimes happens, but then I'm fucked, you know? Then it doesn't recognize me as the broadcaster. We'll see. But I'm still gonna log it anyways, because I just want to make sure that we're not this type is actually correct, you know? Could be that type is just fucked. Okay, so the code is correct. So if the user is not a mod or the user is not a broadcaster, then we say only moderators can pick. Oh wait, it should be an NN, right? If the user is not a moderator and the user is not a broadcaster, then say only moderators. Yeah. Ooh, almost messed that up. Okay, now everything is gonna break because this is now not working because is broadcaster. It should be false by default probably because we're not testing as the broadcaster. Actually, user is the same. And then our test client is gonna fail because we're not implementing. Oh, on message doesn't really do anything. Check. What happens if you create something like duo streaming where the channel name becomes Jezra Cats plus Devin Pepper? What if they create something like duo streaming? Holy shit. What the fuck? I don't think that's gonna happen. And I don't want to future-proof that because if they do that, a lot of things are gonna break. So if they do that, they're gonna have some sort of announcement, big announcement that they're gonna change it in the API. And then I will know. I will know. Okay, so we've got this implemented now, business logic wise. But we still want to see if there's a better way to get the broadcaster. So let me just reboot the app. And then let's write the tests. And then just write something like, hello. Broadcaster 1. What the fuck does that mean? There's nothing else, no. Mod false is also weird. But I guess. Badges raw. User type. What is the user type? Oh, wait, that was like staff and such. Right. Subscriber, yes. Important. Where's VIP, for example? There's also no VIP. That's all in badges. Bum, 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 bum. You're a founder. Founder 23. What does that mean? Oh, 23 months. Oh. So what does subscriber 85 mean? Subscriber for 85 months? Oh, no, it says 58. What? Oh, that's Wolfie. Hold up. 58 months. Sorry, 85. It's funny how it's the complete opposite. Okay. It is 60 for your months of subs. Yeah, exactly. Wait, 85 here, but 60 here. What? Oh, the badge is the... So the badge is 60, but the badge info is 85. So you have founder 0. Oh, but the string 0 is still true, right? Oh, but then I... hold up. Then I can probably do a better check. Because then I don't need to check... I really don't want to look at the value. I just want to check if the badge is there. So let's get rid of this. And then... Oh, I'm not sure if my TypeScript already supports this, but... Broadcaster. Why don't I have a sub badge? Wait, actually, yeah. Oh, because the founder badge replaces the sub badge. But you are subbed. Wait, it says your subscriber false. Are you not subbed anymore? What the fuck is going on? I thought you just resubbed. I thought you showed your badge. I thought you just resubbed for 23 months. What the fuck is going on? Wait, what? He has a badge. Yeah, but don't you get founder badge even when you're not subbed? Sub Mitrin? Mitrin, if you sub, do you have a founder badge? Mitrin, can you just sub? Or can somebody gift him a sub? If he has no money? Because he has 0 badges. But when he subs, does he get the founder badge? Or does he... Like, why does it not subscriber? This is like the worst fucking parser ever. Founder 23. So subscriber is like not a value that we should be checking for sure. So let's also fix that bug then. But let's not fix it in this PR. So what I need to check here, if the badge has a broadcaster badge. So object dot, like, how do I check for properties? Safe contains property object JavaScript has own property. Sure. So let's do user state dot badges question mark, and then if badges is there, then let's do user state dot badges dot has own property Then he's gonna complain because badges is not of type of object, it's of type.
Well, when life gives you lemons.
Yo, Mitrian, thank you so much for the resub. This is an easy way to force somebody into subbing. Okay, so Mitrian, if you send a message now... I didn't feel forced, by the way. So, it also says for you that you're not subscribed. But for Wolfie, it said subscribed. Yo, check it out. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. You're still here. Mod is true. Subscriber is true. User type mod. God damn, this is so weird. So this one is kind of legit. As own property does not work. As own property. But you can also just do like... You can also do object prototype, right? And then call it. Object prototype. Wait, no. Huh? String prototype has own property split. Oh. I just wanna know if the property exists. I just wanna know if the property exists. I wanna know if the property exists. Has own property doesn't work because it's like an interface. This type here is an interface. That's what I call it. This is fucking TypeScript at its finest, boys. At its finest. The longest time it is. It is. Thank you so much. In. We can use in. So we can do moderator in. I hate in. False. Just stringify it. If I want to do that, I can just use raw, right? I could just use like badges raw and then check. Maybe that's faster, honestly. It's probably the fastest one. You know what? Let's just do it. Is it safe? No idea. Are we gonna do it anyways? Hell yeah. If badges raw is there, then the type is a string, so then we can say contains, includes, broadcaster. Wait. Am I a streamer? Hold up. Am I a broadcaster badge? Hello. Broadcaster 1. So we can do broadcaster slash. Contains that. Should be fine. But if they change their raw implementation, I don't really want to depend on raw. Maybe. You know? I guess maybe the badges one is a bit more safe. Because then if the underlying implementation changes, then at least this library could update to do this properly. This might be faster, but I think the other one is safer for future changes. I don't like in though, but since it's a Node app, I think it's kind of fine. Okay, sick. Awesome. I don't have any tests for this implementation because this needs like integration tests. Awesome. So if moderator is in badges. Sick. Okay, so now I need to test. If I restart, it should tell me that I'm a moderator. And it should work. So let's write a test for this first. So all we're going to test for is that it should not... What other helpers do I have? I can't remember what kind of helpers I have. Messages. Okay, get previous set messages. To include, contain, equal. What do those messages look like? Next day, add a badge, befriended broadcaster. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. A little bit afraid of that. So this is a broadcaster user, which is not a mod, but is a broadcaster. It's like, what? And then contains equal. So these are all the messages sent by this specific client, and we create a client every single test. But since we do send messages, I just want to see if in like history we didn't accidentally send something that contains equal to kind of maybe expect any string containing. I think this works actually. Only moderators can pick out of the queue, something like that, you know. So if I just say false here, then it should just fail. So let's see if the cat test fails. It didn't, so the test is not right, you know. Oh, this is passing. So it should be not contain. Not. How does this work again? Not? This should fail. Nice, because it did contain only this. So now if we make him a broadcaster, we can see that our tests are passing. Nice. So we've got that covered, because that's all we want to test. We don't want to test the rest. And then when the queue is empty, we kind of want to test that it says, hey, yo, Captain Jack. There's no people. Queue is empty. You bimbo. So if the pick returns empty array, which is definitely a possibility, then it should definitely fail the test, because it should not say the next players are blah, blah, blah. Then it should say something like no players in the queue left to pick. Queue is empty. Queue is empty. What do you guys think? What is like a good message? Queue is empty, no players left to pick. So no players left to pick. What is like a nice message? Like a dot here, is that the right thing to do? No players left to pick. That should be fine. Okay, so now this is still gonna fail because we haven't actually covered that case yet. So if this is empty, then we need to check that. So if picked players dot length equals 0, then we should return promise resolve with another message. Look at all of these cases. Which is, what was our message? It was empty. Motherfucker. Mother trucker. What's up, Kasha? How is life, girl? Are we good? Nice. Okay, we got this working. Awesome. Hey, Kasha, you don't happen to do a lot of VR games, do you? Queue is empty, go away. Should we do that? I like that. Queue is empty. That could like make people laugh, you know? Lover, do you want to do the copywriting? Queue empty. Go away. Sick. Okay. Literally every stream. Awesome. How do you manage your VR games? How do you make sure that people join? How do you make sure that people... You want to test my app? I'm looking for alpha testers. Okay, let's join the viewer game now, and then please try to use pick, and then see if it works. And let's also pick when it's empty. Actually, wait, video games pick 1. Are you serious? It still doesn't work. What? Are you serious? So this is still false. What the fuck? Console log. User state. Is broadcaster. What the fuck? How is this still broken? What? Viewer game pick 1. What is the state? Just what you... Is broadcaster false? What do you mean? What do you even mean? User badges. Badges? I think this in call doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that just doesn't work. Cough. Okay, let's try this again. Viewer game pick. Viewer game's gonna be picked. It says true! What do you mean? What? How? What? His broadcast is true. His broadcast is true. It says it right here. Oh, wait, huh? The message from viewer game bot beta moderator is true because he's a moderator. Oh, I'm checking for moderator. This should be broadcaster. Fuck. God damn it. Oh my god. Fuck off. Pardon my French. Oh my god. It's getting late, guys. It's getting late. Sometimes it's these like silly things. Q empty, go away. Nice. Okay, that's working. Sweet. Okay, so now if we join, and if somebody in the chat could try to use viewer game, so !VG pick 5 to pick 5 from the queue. I think it should say you need to be a moderator. Excellent. So only moderators can pick players. That's good. So now I just need Wolfie to test. I need a mod. Or I can make Devin a mod for a second. Okay, at least we got that going. I forced him. They are my bitches. Nice. Well, it's pick Wolfie. True. Okay, so we found the issue why it wasn't working, so that's great. I will need to do the rest for the rest too, because I don't trust this mod tag. I don't trust this subscriber tag, because half of the time the subscriber tag doesn't even work. Because if you're a founder, apparently you're not a subscriber for some reason. Okay, so we fixed this. let's fix these 2 and 1. So, right? So, by default, the factory is not a broadcaster. We now allow for broadcaster as a user. We check, properly check now. Add is broadcaster check for property in the user interface. And then let's first add when the user is a broadcaster. And when the user is not a mod, too. So add check for moderator and broadcaster. Wait, do we have a check for moderator too? Yeah, all of the tests are with a moderator. Yeah. Excellent. And now let's add the last case. Add extra case for when the queue is empty. Excellent. All right, Devin, I'm gonna mod you real quick. Oh. Followed since 2014. Wait, what account am I on? Why can I not mod? Am I not a moderator? Mod Devin. Okay, so it worked. It said it worked in my other chat. So if you now do pick, now it works. Moderator in user state. Yeah, cool. Wait. Awesome sauce. So now I'm gonna unmod you. Enjoy your one message. Has removed Devin Pepper as a moderator of the channel. Big sad. Okay, so now we resolved that. Let's also just immediately do the other follow-up. So push. We always do a final review before we merge. So is Boolean, is broadcaster. So we've added this because TMI or Twitch chat IRC does not actually tell us whether says that a broadcaster is not a moderator. So just the is mod check is not enough. Also, it's probably good to be able to differentiate both a broadcaster and a moderator. Sweet. This is ugly. Info. So badges get populated only when the badges are present. So it will not show all badges, but only the badges that they have. So in order to be safe, the badges return a number string. So in order to just be sure that we're not accidentally using a falsy value, we just check if the broadcaster property is in the badges. Look. The rest we've already reviewed. All good to go. This one's good. This one is good. We already checked all of this. Pick commands. I don't like all of these, like, this is a very long, like, step-by-step file, but yeah. It is what it is. We could refactor and put it into methods, but It doesn't grow that big. I also wonder if I just keep splice in, whether it will just work. So let's try that. Because we have tests for it anyways. Because that would remove like this extra line. We have the test still running. So here we're checking for 0 case. If I just do this, what happens? So it still works. Excellent. So that's just a cleanup. Don't need to handle that ugly case. So Nigel, does anybody know what a bewindsvoerder is? That's like, isn't that like the leader of a country? Or like the leader of a party? Or leader of a something? Leader? Remove unnecessary if statement. The Bordock. That's good. See? Easy cleanup just by reviewing the code again. Pick is find or create the queue, then pick a count, and then map it to the player. So build player with index is not really what this is. Let's also refactor that. So rename this to build player by using index as position. That's an ugly name. Build player, and then since we call as index, let's just, you know what? I was ranting about this before, but let's just build player, you know? Fuck it. Might be better than build player with index because we're not building a player with the index. We're building a player using the index. We can also just do that. Using index. Awesome. Rename method. Clear method. Someone who enforces rules, I guess. His broadcasts are false. Sweet. If all the tests are passing and the linting is passing, then we're good to go. Let's do one more push. So I like to always comment so that my future self can look back at these PRs and be like, why did I do that again? Because for some of these cases, you go way back into your old code and you're like, wait, why the fuck did I do that? What was that shitty decision? Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I really love Yarn workspaces, by the way. Debug faster and test summary for quick access to XML test results. Don't care. Oh, linting is still running. Lint. I'm using free Circle CI, so that's why it's probably a bit slower. Cool. All done, all ready to go. Let's merge the viewer game pick command. So that's now a reality. And let's now just quickly, before I go to bed, because it's already way too late, let's we'll do one final thing and just fix this bug then as well. Potential bug. It's not a bug now, but it could be a bug. Because we're not really using that yet. But like here, we should also just use the badges. So let's make a method for this. Private. Contains badge string. We could say key of, really. So if we take the badges here, tmi badges dot key of, I think that's a thing. So now the badge could be any key of these. And then we say if user state, which is of type whatever this is, if the user state contains the badge, which is just going to do this into so badge in user state badges or false, then we can just say this dot contains badge user state and then broadcaster. And now we have abstracted this away, and this now always contains a boolean too. Pick moderator, and then also subscriber. But subscriber is not a badge. So this is like an interesting one. So this is founder or what? What? No, don't tell me. Don't tell me it doesn't know about fucking founder. Okay, wait. Is there... This has been out for so long. How does this not exist? How old is this library? tmi.js 1.5. This is the latest version. This is probably not maintained. Release 1.8. 11 hours ago. What the fuck? Okay, what's in the release then? Option connection reconnect is now default to true. Wait, why am I on such a low? Why is Node showing such a low version? npm 1.8. Huh? Wait, was I 1.5? Wait, I'm so far behind. Wait a minute. Okay, maybe we should upgrade. Hold up. Before I fix this, let's just yarn workspace upgrade Eurogame. I can't remember how to do this. Eurogame's Twitch bot upgrade tmi.js at 1.8 and something or 2. What the fuck? Does that work? It does. Okay, but we also need to upgrade the types for tmi.js. Let's also check that. 1.7. What the fuck? What the frick? Types tmi.js. Oh my god, wait. Maybe we're just working with outdated shit. So here's the problem. Here's where I really need like integration tests, because I don't have any tests for this. I just have the test on into like outside level. So now the question is, where are we? Did they... Okay, so now let's check the like the changes, because there's actually a lot. So maybe they fixed the bug already. TMI 1.5, that's what we were on before, right? 1.5, yeah. So we're up from 1.5. Okay, so let's see. So 1.6 was released. No changes. Nice. Take a look. Is there a change log? Nope. Add whisper message ID. Fix typo in the README. Update handlebars. Fix max listeners. Dependency upgrade. Cheer action message. What's up, bad luck, Robini? How's it going? Oh shit. Client, ESLint, client. Convert client to class style. Dude, this is some big shit. ESLint. Package, various. Release. Oh, I'm comparing master. Yeah. No shit. No shit that a lot changed. Compare to 0.5. Okay. Here's what really changed. So, dynamic password, handle error for emote sets, fix formatting, add another VIP field case. Ugh. Remove contributor. Oh, sure. README, various style updates. Okay, so this is a non-important upgrade. And this seems to be big. Oh, here, he added the changelog for here. Okay, cool. This is not important for us. Cheer. Rated event viewer parameters are now parsed as a number and include tags. Replace request with node fetch. Cool. XHR, yeah, sure. Yoo-hoo, cool. Add redeem event. Okay. Fixes. Fixed moderator tracking for user state messages. Are you fucking shitting me? His mod is returning false when called in an onJoin handler. Oh, this is a different bug. Nice. Okay. That's a different bug. Update fixes the build for 1.7. Header, Kraken, update. I don't really use that, so it's fine. Global user state. Add an event for global user state. Twitch docs. These tags will always be available after the command, but has not been omitted. I don't know what that means, but I don't really care. Cool. Add sub alias for subscription event. Okay. I don't see any bug fixes with regard to like subscription not being like super super accurate all the time. Fix possible case in a fall through bug. Okay, no, that's not it. Client has been converted to a class style and it broke. Okay, so I'm still not super convinced that they fixed the bug with the subscriber being completely irrelevant, but let's just take a look at that first. So subscriber or contains the badge badges. Ah, look. Here they are. Founder. Nice. Check this issue. Subscriber value in a use state object is false for users who have a founder badge. Unfortunately, this tag comes directly from Twitch and is marked as deprecated in the documentation. Should be ignored. Instead, use the badges tag to look for subscriber or founder. Okay. So I was wrong. So we should not be using this. Okay. Well, then it's nice that we have this abstraction here, because now we can just check subscriber or contains founder. But maybe we should have private contains badges. Huh? I'm just gonna be over engineering the shit out of this. User state. Badges. Hell yeah. Badges dot for each or every. Oh, but this doesn't really work like easily, because this is like contains all of these badges, but in reality what you want is like if one. What is it again? Contains one of badges. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's an easy fix. Okay, what is the method again for that? There's like one once. Can't remember these. Any. No, it's not any. You wish it was any. That would be fucking nice. But no. Array methods. It is. It always tricks me. It is like every and some. Some is what we're looking for. Some badge user state badge return. Damn, it's C#. Yeah, C# probably has good, you know, good messages. Good messages. Good method names. It interprets this as a string or a number. Or a number? Other string. What? String or number? The fuck is this thing like crazy? Badge key. tmi badge key of. String or number? What? What is it? What is this talking about? How is this key ever a number? Are you shitting me? Also, oh, it's because it's like optionals, right? Fuck me. Okay, let's convert this. Let's convert key of optional interface TypeScript. Please tell me there's something for this. You can use conditional type operator of the form undefined extends k, never k. Oh my god. Non-optional keys. I want all the optional keys. Fuck me. Oh, I hate this. Oh, come on. love how badge info is just like subscriber, string, other, String or undefined? Yo, good night, Lavra. I should be really going to bed too, but I'm pissed. It makes sense, but like I wish I could just say these are not optional and then take the key off, you know? Key off. Okay, let's see what this does. Sometimes you can just copy pasta, you know? Optional. Wait, what do I need to pass? T? P, 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 T. Okay. Oh, but I think this converts this to all optionals. tmi.js. Yeah, so this will convert all of the properties to optionals. Convert TypeScript optional interface to non-optional. Options to required. Oh, I can just pick. Right? Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. Required. So for P in key off T. Oh god. How does this work? Complete. I'm gonna yoink this. And then you see what's gonna happen. Complete. Sick. Key off. Fuck, how? Are you serious? What? I was like, yo, this is it. We got it. We got this. So Mohammed, fuck off. How does it still... It's a feature? How do you find all these things? Wait, how did you find this? Number like. Array-ish. What the fuck, man? I hate TypeScript. I hate it, but I love it. There's no like a good alternative, but it's really bad if you think about it. There's like, you know, there's like languages with good compilers. TypeScript is just like a monkey patch, you know? It's monkey patching the quirks of JavaScript. But honestly, TypeScript itself is also not great. The compiler is not that strong. But that's because JavaScript's just a mess. Okay. Option to nullable. Okay. Okay, so what if I just turn all of these into a string? This is the key, right? Oh, wait, required is an actual already thing. This exists already. Huh, that's sick. So let's see if this works. Fuck. And string. Yeah, but what I really want is I don't want to check for string. I want this to be the exact values of like this beautiful key, like keys. Like, it shows me the keys here correctly without this. So like this, if without this would have been like the rest. But I guess because, yeah, okay, because it could be anything, you know. Fuck off. The thing is, if I fill in something else now, it just works. Because like TMI is like, well, you know, if Twitch adds another type, we don't know. So I guess we'll not type it, but like I really like those types. Remove rest type from interface TypeScript. I don't know what this what is this called, you know? I don't know what this like this thing is called. Apparently not this, not what I googled for. Typed keys. None of the keys will be 100 or something. True, but even that's a string. Typed interface with, so TypeScript interface with dynamic keys. Okay, so it's called dynamic keys. TypeScript remove dynamic key from interface. Oh, come on. I just still need to define it. Somebody must have fixed this already. Pick works only when you're like, when I know the values, but I don't want to hard code the values. So I want to like have this, but then like only get foo and bar into my interface. But then if I do that, if I use pick, then I need to define which ones I want to pick out. I just want to see if it's possible for me to like remove the dynamic ones. Omit, like I want to omit the dynamic ones, but I don't know the dynamic ones. I don't think it is possible. It's probably not possible. Okay, I give up. 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 It's fine. We're just gonna deal with string or number, whatever that means. Excellent. Okay, so we have batch, blah, blah, blah. We've got this contains one of badges. So let's do this. And then it is subscriber or founder. And it will never type wrong. So even if I type YOLO, it will still be fine. Even though it's not part of the TMI badges, but it kind of is. Wait, it isn't. Oh yeah, other. Other is always a string. You filthy. I can also just copy paste, but I don't want to maintain this list, you know? This will be what I want. Premium? What's a premium badge? Okay, I don't even want to know what that is. Okay, so if you're a subscriber when you have either subscriber or founder. What is it that you're working on? I'm making a Twitch bot that allows you to join Vera games. But the bot is not on, apparently. Because we're still working on it. Oh, yeah, that's true. My bad. If you're a moderator. In what cases are you a moderator? Now I need to figure out all the cases that this could be in. God damn it. Okay, let's check the badges. I have to do so much work. Global mod? You're not a mod if you're global mod, are you? So let's just keep moderator and broadcaster separate. I think that's important. Hmm. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. Let's add VIP for the sake of it too. Is VIP? Do we do capital or do we not do capital? What do you guys think? Is VIP with caps or VIP like this? This contains badge, user state, VIP. Really hope this is correct. Is VIP boolean? What happens when you mod a global mod? No idea. No, actually no idea, because I don't have a global mod in my chat. So I would not know. All right. So where is this user interface implemented? Yep, this one's covered. On message handler, user. These are all the commands and the tests. Yeah, in the factory. So here we say is VIP false. Cool. Everything still works as intended. Okay, let's take us one step at a time. This is a little bit much than... Oh, fuck. God damn it. So because I upgraded, it now added it as a normal dependency. Piece of shit. I hate that. Yarn remove. Everything removed now? Dev dependency. Wait. Yarn adds. Sometimes, you know. I think this will do latest, so let's give it a shot. Nice. Nice. Upgrade tmi.js. Upgrade TMI, fix, and also fix user state. Fuck me. Upgrade dependencies. And then let's do it one step at a time. So let's first add the VIP badge. Add VIP badge is VIP to user interface, and then the rest is fix is state is X for user interface. For Twitch, user interface implementation. Is this the only thing we need to fix, or is that it? Can we also confirm that the user state username is now always there? No, is that still a question mark? Okay, that's fine, it's okay. That is okay. Cool. Plan name? The fuck is that? Okay. Okay, so I think we fixed a couple bugs here. So we now added VIP. We fixed a bug where subscriber would sometimes not count. Moderator is now, always working. And the broadcaster is now also always working, which was already fixed. Wait. Fantastic. 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 Do I have tests for this? Probably not. Good. I'm happy that I don't have tests for this because... Always, yeah. Isn't this code beautiful? If there's no badges, you're just false on everything. I don't even know in what case there would be no badges, but yeah, it's fine. I have no idea if this is gonna break anything else, so let's just run the app real quick just to see and quickly test if everything is still fine. We're still booting, you know? Okay, we're still connected. PG join. Sick, so that still works. PG pick. Okay, I'm still recognized as a broadcaster. That's perfect. VG leave. Because you guys left the queue. VG... I wasn't even in the queue, but it will just say that you left the queue even when you're not in the queue. Queue. Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's get this thing merged. And then I really need to be sleeping already. God damn. Upgrade TMI dependency and fix use inconsistent user state. Description. All right, just turn it off. If you want to wait, we should probably test non-broadcaster users too. Upgrades. The tmi.js and types dependencies. And we also did fix subscriber state being intermittently wrong. Where did you find the thing? tmi.js issues. Unfortunate attack comes from Twitch that is deprecated as the documentation. The subscriber check is coming directly from Twitch and seems to be deprecated in their documentation. So the best way to find out if you're a sub is by checking the badges. Which is shit, because if there's more and more badges coming, then I need to fucking maintain this list. But you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. And then we also added is VIP. Is VIP to user interface. Nice. Yeah, so this is good. Is VIP. We're now checking the badges. Easy peasy. All right, before we merge, Devin, can you do one more time viewer game pick or viewer game join, but mostly viewer game pick? And then we're good. Oh. Man, I should be sleeping. Oh, it's 1 a.m. Gotta work tomorrow. Excellento. Excellento. Excellent. Nice. Nice. So we're still in the green. Let's merge this. Boom. Great progress. Alrighty. Maybe the next step will be to write some integration tests so that we don't have to have Devin test this every time. All right. Awesome. I'm happy with the progress we've made. Happy with the progress we've made. We didn't do too much, but since I'm gonna be doing like those programming streams every week now again, probably every Wednesday. It's Thursday now though, or Friday, but it's Thursday. So every Wednesday I'll probably be doing a programming stream. So I probably won't have to give that big of a rundown of like what I did before, because it's now we're actually keeping up with the work. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and see you guys in the next one.